So last time I saw you, you were about to start the task of scoring everything, writing everything, getting it prepared.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that process.
Okay.
Because it's a big score, isn't it?
It's a huge score. It's I don't know if it's unusual for film, but there's about 80 minutes or 82 minutes worth of music. And I think the film is about 82 minutes long, so I think there's music all the way through. But I think when I spoke to you last, I was still writing. I was pretty close to finishing. But what happened was because I haven't done it before, I didn't really know that I should have stopped the composing thing a lot earlier. Just had it cut off and just said that's it. It's all written now. And so we had a massive rush to prepare the score and the parts. There's like 1,000 pages of paper that we had to prepare for players and so on. And as happened in the first session, some of the transpositions of the brass and so on, they weren't right. And that ate up quite a bit of time. So we're on a back foot right now. We're about to go back in and we're behind schedule, so we have to make that time up. So it just makes it more stressful. But, when the orchestra's actually playing, they sound fantastic. And for me, it's phenomenal to hear it all come to real life. Not the MIDI version, but the real thing. It's just incredible. I suppose at this point, I'm very relieved that the sound of it is really good. And I know that we're going to end up with a great sound. I'm very stressed out that we're shorter on time than I had imagined we would be at this point. So we have to push quite hard. And the biggest risk when you're in that situation is that you'll sign something off and say, yep, that's okay. And then you go back to listen to it in a month and you realise, oh man, we didn't get that passage. We don't have that. So that's what I'm going to be trying really hard to avoid from this point on.
And you've got the two students.
Yeah,
What role have they played in this?
Well, sitting next to me is Jared, and Jared has kind of been with me through the whole process, and he's been incredible. When we were doing the score and the parts, Jared and the guy next to him is Ben. They were with me in my studio till like 2, 3, 4 in the morning, over a period of days to get the score and parts done. And Jared, I wonder what kind of experience he's having, because it's always like he and I are in this really accelerated state. Everything is happening so quickly and so intensely, and we don't really ever get to talk about what he thinks of it, what he makes of it all. But Jared's here at the moment, so that if there's something wrong with any of the parts, which there has been plenty of that in the first session, we can quickly make changes or transpose, or we found out in one of the cues that the viola part, there was a bar missing, but not an empty bar, but everything after it was a bar to the left, like it was in the wrong place. And it takes quite a bit to figure out what's going on when that's the case. And under stress, it's even harder. So, I had Jared next to me, and I'm talking to him about, you got to look at this bar in the logic sequence, you got to find this, blah, blah. And then I've got Nigel reeling off the next take of a different cue that we're recording and having to listen and mark what was good and what was not good in that particular take. And engaging with Jared to try and push that through so that we can reprint parts and get them out on the stands. And the biggest fear is that in front of the orchestra's eyes, you'll lose credibility and they won't take you seriously because it doesn't seem like you know what you're doing. And at the moment, we're actually, I think, a little bit in that situation. Not us, but me, because, when you've got problems with parts, it's a sign of amateur, From our perspective, it's only because we had no time. And so in the next session, the next 3 hours, we have to power through a whole lot of stuff and make up both the time and the credibility with the band. It's great. Hamish is fantastic on the podium because he's the kind of nexus. He's in between everybody, and he's just really balancing needing to get through things and getting things right.
Yeah, it's good having a collaborator like Hamish, who you know well too.
Yeah,
obviously, and he understands, that it is a precious situation.
Absolutely, yeah.
Keeping going seems an important thing.
That's right.
Stalling and stopping.
Yeah, it's not the way to do it. Yeah, which is what
he had to stop, to make some
fixes. Yeah.
Deal with that.
Yeah.
I'm really liking what I'm hearing now, John.
Oh, great.
Come alive.
Yeah, I know.
And I wanted to film the opening because I never really caught that. I saw that it was the first images in the film.
Oh, right.
So I shot a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are we hearing exactly? We're not hearing the final
No, what you're hearing, I mean, it's different for different cues, right? In some of the cues, you are hearing pretty much everything that you're going to hear, but in others, you're just hearing the orchestra, and as well as the orchestra, there will be all these other non-orchestral instruments like the dulcimer, the banjo, guitars, all these things. And we're not recording the percussion now either. We're doing that separately. So it's actually still got, we're building the sound right now. So it's going to get quite big. And it's interesting because you're hearing it through the speakers in the room. And we've got those quite moderate. I'm listening to it in the headphones and I've got it up really loud and it sounds amazing through the headphones. I mean, this is a really big thing for me because I'm finally coming to terms with the difference between MIDI and the real thing. And up until now, my experience has been MIDI does this perfect job, and I'm good at sequencing MIDI and making it sound quite realistic. Then I have a live concert, and they never play as accurately as my computer does, which of course humans don't. But and the sound is always different. But now what I'm hearing is a recording, like straight to recording of that music, and recorded really well, played really well. And I'm just realizing that I should be just working in this world and forget about all the MIDI stuff. But I wouldn't be able to do the stuff I do without my whole MIDI process.
Yeah. Well, the marimba concerto, you did an extensive MIDI.
Very elaborate one, yeah.
I remember we filmed a little bit with
Jeremy. Yeah, that's right.
Which sounded,
Very realistic, yeah. The thing about, yeah. Unfortunately, with the whole thing about working with MIDI is that until you actually have a really well rehearsed recording, that you can listen to over and over again, you can't really decide if it works or not, because there are all these things that happen in live performance. Not enough rehearsal, or things go sideways. Yeah, so it's interesting. I just got an email from somebody that's interested in programming the marimba concerto in Asia at a festival, and they absolutely don't want to hear a MIDI version of it. They only want to hear a live version. And that's because the flip side is that something can sound fantastic in MIDI, but when you try and do it live, it doesn't work at all because the composer doesn't actually know what they're doing. So, there's a big suspicion of the whole thing as well. But I've certainly found that because of the time I put into MIDI, that I've sold my music on a lot of people, to program it or to record it or to listen to it, because those MIDI versions are, really convincing. And even with Mike in the film, a lot of cues were signed off on because my MIDI stuff sounds so good. It's not like really crappy sounds just playing badly, and he has a really good idea of what it's going to sound like. And I'm getting it now, which is that you hear what the orchestra does with these scores, and it's like the MIDI stuff, but much better.
Hey, thanks, John. That's great.
That's all right.